So the universal presence through the universe is up to producing an individual that can perfectly reflect the cosmos according to their unique pattern. Everyone is a unique expression of infinite potential. There's not a cookie-cutter universe. This presence is infinite, meaning it doesn't repeat itself and it doesn't do do-overs. It got you right the first time. When it recreated itself as you, it got you right the very first time with nothing missing, and it never repeats itself. So everyone is a distinct, unique, individualized expression of infinite potential that carries everything that the presence has, and we are here to allow the entire cosmos to know itself as each and every one of us. I know you just want to know what your job's going to be. We're going to get to that. So even that is in the context of what I'm saying. It's in the context of what I'm saying. So this universal presence, called by whatever name, has a progressive universe. And what does that mean? That means that the universe shot from infinity is always expanding to reflect and to reveal the infinite nature of the presence. It doesn't go backwards. It is always progressing. What does that mean for us? It means that with the dynamism of growth, year after year after year, we, like the universe, are expanding our awareness. I'm going to define some terms in just a moment. Now, if we remain the same and don't change, let's say 365 days, relatively, we haven't stayed the same. Relatively, we've gone backwards because everything has moved forward. The universe in its progress has moved forward. What does that create? It creates stagnancy, that creates a crisis, that then forces us to grow. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's break down just a couple of terminologies. We use the word consciousness a lot. And oftentimes we use this word and we never break down what the word means. We just say, oh, consciousness, up yours. No, you up your consciousness. Expand your awareness, whatever the case may be. So when we think about consciousness with the capital C, we're talking about the fact that you are pure awareness. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You're an avenue of awareness. And then there's content in consciousness. Imagine the ocean. Ocean is water. And then, regardless of whether it's the Atlantic, Pacific, whether it's the Nile River, whether it's Ganga, water. And then there's content in the ocean. Seaweed, human pollution, boats, etc. Content. The content is not the ocean. There's the ocean, and then there's content. We are pure consciousness, and there's interpretation of past events. The way we've been programmed. Content. What is awakening? Awakening is the moment, those moments where you have a realization, you're not the content. You're the awareness. When an individual thinks that they're a content, they are sleepwalking. Are you following this? Most people actually think they're the content passing through their awareness. You are not the content. You are the context for which that stuff is passing through. You are pure awareness. So that when you're meditating, when you're praying, when you're doing your asanas on the mat, when you're doing your qigong, when you're doing your tai chi, when you're doing your study, when you're doing your fellowship, you become a candidate for an insight where you become aware that you are awareness itself. And the content that you have previously identified yourself as was content that you said, I am this, I'm this sadness, I'm this event that happened. Who are you? Oh, I went to school here. Oh, my parents are this. I traveled here. Oh, I had all these experiences. No, that's content. That's not who you are. The moment you realize that you're not content, you're going to spiritual liberation. You're becoming free, and what begins to happen? Your choice ability expands. A choice is a function of expanded awareness. Every time you have an insight that you're not content, you are consciousness itself. Now you can choose. You have the capacity to choose. I choose joy. I choose happiness. I choose abundance. I choose love, and rather than reacting to a circumstance. Are you following what I'm saying here? Are you Yes? Is that yes? Because you're doing the Indian yes. I know. I don't know. Yes, I believe you. No, 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 no. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. No. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So we have this capacity to choose. Now, in terms of destiny, everyone has a great destiny. Because before the beginning of time, the presence, which is ecstatic bliss, love, beauty, intelligence, limitless love, intelligence, recreated itself after its own image, named it you. You're loaded and coated with infinite possibilities. You're living in a field of emergent, it's an emergent field of infinite possibility, and you have a distinct and unique expression of a cosmic destiny, and it's a magnificent destiny as opposed to fate. Fate and destiny aren't the same thing. Fate is what comes up when you have unresolved issues, and you bump into those unresolved issues. That's your fate, but it's not your destiny. That's something else. So the universal presence through the universe by law answers any question that you ask. Any question that you perennial live in, accidentally or on purpose, you get an answer to it. Most people, not anyone in this room, have a set of disempowering questions that they live from. Generally, the world lives in what's wrong, who's to blame, who did it, how do we get out of it? They live in that question. When you begin to mature, you don't ask those questions anymore. You ask an inquiry that's empowering. What is it that's trying to emerge in my life right now? What gift am I to give? Who am I? You know, what is my next step in my unfolding? You begin to ask certain empowering questions, and you live with the question sincerely, and you start to get an answer in a language and in a way that you can understand. Intuitively, a felt sense, a sign, an image, an inner voice, however it comes to you, you begin to ask a different kind of question. And so before we leave here today, we're going to go in and immerse ourselves in a right question so that we can get a sense of what is trying to emerge in our life. Are you following? I'm going to I just do that to check in. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah? Okay. So, the idea is to begin to ask the question, because there is something always within us that wants to emerge. Just as today you heard that there's a caterpillar that's trying to emerge through a butterfly. If the caterpillar, as it starts to fall apart, asks, if it had human consciousness, if it asks, what's wrong? What's wrong? Who's to blame? You know, then it wouldn't get the imaginal cell saying, I'm birthing a butterfly, stupid. You know what I'm saying? Just be cool. I know everything's falling apart and everything, but I got something I'm trying to emerge through you. Just ask the right question and it'll come, you know. But fortunately, the caterpillar is living more from instinct, and so it just yields and melts. I'm melting, and whoop, butterfly, you know. But we aren't like that. We have to participate in our own unfolding. Why? Because we're the image and likeness of God. We have to actually participate in it by asking the right question. Now, the beginning steps of that right question is something that was mentioned today when he said, you know, I visualized the night before about how I want my day to go so that it unfolds kind of wonderfully according to that particular plan. So that's one stage of metaphysics, where we learn to visualize and see. But that's the beginning stage. And it's the stage that most people know about. Let me just break this down for a moment. I teach that there are 4 stages of spiritual growth and development. Now, of course, we know there's more than 4 stages. But this is just breaking it down so we can have a dialogue and have a context for which we are speaking. The first stage is what most people live in that are unconscious. They live in what is called the victim stage. They feel victimized by the world. They feel victimized by their past. They feel victimized by whatever. When the individuals were very immature, you know, it'd be like, I'm victimized by God, I'm victimized by the devil, and then they went to college, I'm victimized by my parents. Become more sophisticated, But, so they live in a victim state. Something outside determines their destiny. That's what a victim is. Something outside of me determines my happiness. Let me just say this to you. I know I'm speaking fast, right? But we have less than an hour, and I just wanted to get in before you can combat it away. Just let me get it in there before you can say, I don't know if I agree with that. Too late. I'm already in. and then you'll dream about it at night, and it'll go through a period of transformation. It'll be a good activation. You'll be mad at me for about 5 minutes, and then you say, whoa, that was some good stuff. Okay, so first stage is victimhood. We think something outside is doing something to us. It goes like this: to us, by us, through us, and as us. First stage, something is doing something to us. Oh my God, God is doing this to me. Oh, this is, whatever. My parents did it to me, whatever. Then we learn basic metaphysics, the art of visualization, the art of creative imagination, the art of the right spoken word, declaration, decree, affirmation, budgeons. We learn how to use our mind in a different way, where the mind has been hijacked by fear and doubt and worry. We learn to reprogram the mind so that the mind ultimately becomes for us and becomes ultimately an avenue of awareness of that which is real. And this is where you learn the art of visualization. Now, I'm getting to you. Third stage is through us. And this particular stage, we've become aware that there is a vast, infinite presence everywhere in its totality. Cannot break its parts. It wants to operate through us. It wants to know itself as you. It knows itself totally as love and beauty and intelligence. Life itself. Know itself as your life. You're different from anyone else. It wants to know itself as you, so that as you're participating in your own unfolding, you're giving full-on permission for God to know itself as your life, to come into its own as you, so that in its infinite nature, and all of us represent infinity, it gets to know itself as me, it gets to know itself as Bruce, it gets to know itself as Lee, it gets to know itself as all these beings, but without cookie cutter. It's distinct and individual and unique. Individual, the word individual means undivided. So it gets to know itself as each of us undivided from the whole. Now, what does this mean? In two levels. One, in the level of the eternal before incarnation, the love, the peace, the joy, the wisdom, and the harmony gets to express through us. And then as we take a human incarnation, when you took your incarnation, you chose to take an incarnation. You chose to take your incarnation during a time of vicissitude, during a time of system change, during a time when old structures are falling apart, new structures are being born. You knew this was going to happen. You may to yourself, why was I born? I didn't have a choice. No. In the quantum field, past, present, and future are happening simultaneously. So you may have been the one orchestrating your parents getting together that night, or for some of you as a nooner, and created the actual absolute biological stuff for you to be born. You may have done that yourself, you see. You may have participated in that. So you chose to be here at this time in human history for what? To deliver. You're not going to make a footprint on the earth. No. It's quite the opposite. You have come to make a vibrational footprint on the earth called bliss and ecstasy and beauty, so that when you leave here, the earth, the world is different than when you got here. As Sadhvi said earlier, you didn't come here to sit on the sidelines and not do anything. You came with a very specific gift and a specific talent to bring to the planet at this time in human history, and a certain vibratory frequency that you get to deliver. Vision of what that is, to come to a remembrance of your pre-incarnational choice before you were imprinted by your parents.
Before you were imprinted by society, before you were imprinted by the social milieu of our time, you had a pre-incarnational choice. And so, coming to an understanding that something is trying to operate through us, and we're participating in our own unfolding, we are remembering that pre-incarnational choice, and that is called catching a vision of our destiny, our dharma, catching a vision of that so that we learn to articulate it, we learn to embrace it, we learn to let go of anything that's in the way of that, so that we're walking in the frequency of our vision. But it means that your walk on the planet is a walk of a conscious being that knows your giftedness and that you are delivering it with full gusto so that you're growing and developing and unfolding every single day, and that the world is different because you got here. So people may know about you, they may not know about you, it doesn't matter. But you're not just a cog in a wheel, getting a job necessarily, and just, doing the basic things. You may look like you're doing that, but inside you are an offering of the Spirit. So it's to us, victim, by us, manifester, through us, channel, as us, God. God is operating as us. We become aware that we're emanations of the Spirit of the living God. So that primarily when you look at the teacher Jesus, you look at the teacher Buddha, primarily they lived in stage 3 and 4. That which was Spirit was operating through them and as them. They mastered stage 2. Create, manifestation, make things happen. But lived in stage 3 and 4. Am I making sense? Okay. So we're living in an emergent field. What does that mean? And when we first learn certain things, we have to kind of tell white lies in order to build and get to another stage. So there used to be something taught called cause and effect. Like Newton's billiard ball concept. This ball hit this ball, which caused this to happen, to cause that to happen, to cause that to happen. It was a lie. It was a building block to emergence. Actually, there's no law of cause and effect because there's only one cause, and that's God, you see. It's actually, we live in I'm giving a whole lot of information in a very short period of time, so just swallow it whole. We'll take questions later. So, condition is right, potential emerges. Nothing causes it. The inner condition must be right. Example, you have an avocado seed. Loaded and coated with that avocado seed is the potential of an avocado tree and the potential of more avocados ad infinitum. That avocado seed doesn't cause an avocado tree. The avocado emerges from the seed. A rose bush emerges from a rose bush seed. Doesn't cause it, you see. So we're surrounded by a field of infinite potential. We are a field of infinite potential. When the condition is right within us, what are you doing? You're practicing yoga. You're practicing meditation. You're practicing high-minded conversation. You're practicing visionary conversation, high fellowship, ecstatic dancing, bliss. You're doing what's going on within you. You're becoming a ripe condition for your potential to emerge. You're not making it happen, you're making it welcome. Different frequency. You're making it welcome. It's already here, but you're making it welcome through the amplification of an availability and a receptivity. Stage 2, by me, I think I have the mind of God. Love, peace, joy, wisdom, and happiness is already here. We just can't see it, or it's being suppressed by a limited perception. I'm making it welcome through my inner work. That's grace. You can't earn grace. You can't make grace happen, but you can be a recipient. You can be available. You can be open, you see. So, in understanding that, we go through a set of questions that make us receptive to what's trying to happen through us. We learn to articulate it. We learn to walk in that direction so that we actually catch the next stage of our unfolding. Sometimes it's a shock and surprise. Sometimes we knew it all along. We had an intuitive felt that our path was to go down this road, develop this skill, cultivate this genius within us and express it. Sometimes we didn't know what it was. Sometimes we were enculturated by our family or enculturated by our schooling, our society, and then we had to unlearn that particular enculturation to discover that we actually came to the planet for something else. Or there's a simultaneous situation of having your livelihood be one thing and your gifted visionary gift something else. That happens a lot as well. Are you picking up here? Process to catch your next stage of unfoldment. Does that make sense? Yes? Let me just see what time. Okay. An art therapist. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. You come up a little closer and speak into it because it's going to be a long question to repeat.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay. Start over. I'm an art therapist and a counselor. I work with people in early recovery from addiction. I also have long-term recovery. I also work with children who have experienced trauma. And so my question to you is, you know, whether I'm working with somebody who has experienced addiction of whatever sort or children who have suffered trauma, my question is the suffering. You know, addicts, alcoholics, they choose the suffering, you know. Children do not choose, but still they came here, you know. And so my question is, I have a problem working with people, understanding, you know, like on a metaphysical, spiritual level, just accepting, you know, just having the compassion and empathy, but from a distance, you know, the suffering. The suffering is an issue.
Uh-huh.
Watching, witnessing the suffering, it's just really hard.
Okay, so you're very sensitive?
Yeah, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on that.
Okay, you can have it. Because it's covered a couple of things, okay? One that we see in human beings, there's an aspiration of the spirit trying to break through. When the individual's filter is not clean or clear, there's trauma, there's drama, there's abuse, whatever the case may be, then that aspiration, it gets tainted a little bit. It could come out destructively. It can come out as an addiction. It can come out in many, many ways. So you're training yourself to see the aspiration. What is it that's really trying to emerge here, even though it's coming out destructive right now? What is the aspiration that really is coming out? If you sit with somebody, you don't have to say the question, but if you sit with somebody and in your counseling state and you ask yourself, what is it that's really trying to emerge here? Just ask yourself that. Eventually, they will show it to you. In their language, in their conversation, it will come out of their mouth that what really is trying to emerge here is creativity. Or what's really trying to emerge here is a deep sense of love or beauty or genius. You'll start to see things differently. Now, I think you're having a difficulty with children because the question you're probably asking yourself is, why do children suffer? They're a blank slate. They're coming in and this shouldn't happen and all of that. So there are what is called windows of manifestation, okay? And what happens is we look at somebody and we judge by appearances why they are going through what they were going through. But there are different windows to look through. First window is the window that many people look at things through. They'll look at somebody suffering or born a certain way, and they'll think, how did this person, immaturely, how did this person create this? This is a product of their thinking. This is why they're growing through that. Isn't that what we think sometimes? Okay, that's called manifestation window number one. You know, it's just one window. People are experiencing their thoughts. It's one window. Second window is called a lesson. Sometimes we grow through stuff. We'll ask a question. We'll say something like, I really want to grow to my fullest potential. But the energy that's kind of come through us, we're not quite clear. So what happens is we set up a series of lessons for ourselves to grow, to have the capacity to have more energy flow through us. And those lessons sometimes look like bad things happening. But in hindsight, when we look back, we say, oh my God, if that particular circumstance hadn't happened, I wouldn't be who I am today. That was a lesson that I asked for. Now, I didn't ask for it to be that tough. But I had a very big blessing that I was asking for. I had some resistance. And in that resistance, I created a level of suffering for myself. However, I'm so grateful for what I went through, because look at me today. So window of manifestation 2 is lesson. 3 is called a blessing. What does that mean? It means sometimes people incarnate and they go through debilitating circumstances, but they do it to raise the vibration of compassion. They actually arrive, take on some stuff, so that the world will say, that should never happen again. Lifts the vibration of the entire planet. So we're looking at it and we're trying to put it in window number 1. Oh, how are they causing that in their life? But it doesn't belong in window number 1. It's actually window number 3. They're actually doing it on purpose to lift the vibration of the planet. This is why Jesus said, do not judge by appearances. You don't know what you're looking at. You don't know whether a person is unfolding and learning a valuable lesson. You don't know if that person is thinking a particular way and has a certain belief, or is this person involved with actually bringing about a blessing. There was a woman by the name of Helen Greaves who was a nun, and her best friend was a nun. They meditated for many years together and developed a telepathic relationship. They never had to speak because they had meditated for so many years together that they could read each other's minds. One day, Helen's best friend made her transition, but the communication continued. Even after the lady left, they continued to talk. The lady explained all about what was happening in the afterlife, how her next body was made up of all the thoughts and prayers that they had in this life. She told her friend, listen, because they were nuns, told her friend, listen, Jesus doesn't care whether you have sex or not. Let me give you that quick before it's too late. You know, that's just one aside. Here's the point. The lady developed clairvoyant, clairaudient powers and began to help people. Now, I'm going to get to this story really quick so you understand blessing. This one lady whose heart was closed, had a lot of money, heart was closed, gave birth to a child that had special needs. Back in the time that this book was written, they would call the child mentally retarded. We don't use that language anymore, okay? But the child had special needs. She fell deeply in love with this child. It opened her heart, having this child 12 years old. So when Helen arrives on the scene to assist this woman, because she had gotten stuck, this is what she could see in the ethers, what she could see in the field. So judging by appearances, we would say, oh, this child was born this way, you know, oh, what a tragedy. When in reality, the child showed up, opened the woman's heart, and left. Don't judge by appearances. That's something. Hide and say, what is it that's trying to be revealed here? What gift is trying to come forward out of this situation? And you'll start to hear differently. You understand what I'm saying? You'll see differently. And what do I mean by that? We do not see because we have eyes. And we do not hear because we have ears. We have ears because we hear. And we see because we have eyes because we see. Consciousness always precedes form. So that we have the gift. We have the gift of hearing. We can hear the inaudible. And we birth eyes and ears in this dimension as prosthetics in time and space. So you'll start to hear and see differently. So when someone comes and sits in front of you, you won't judge by appearances. Why is this person born? Why are they suffering? You'll ask a different kind of question. And then you'll see. You'll be given something that will help you guide the individual to their next step of unfolding. Am I making sense to you? Does this assist you? Okay. Any other question? Thank you. Back here. Who's carrying the mic? Here he is, right here. Are you the gentleman from Los Angeles?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I expect you to show up at Agape.
I'm Baljit Saini. I understand the idea of infinite potential to a certain degree, but if we have infinite potential of possibilities, is our life, do we have free will, or is our destiny predestined? And if we do have free will, does our atomic molecular structure have free will, or is that predetermined?
Atomic molecular structure, what do you mean by that?
Atoms.
The atoms in our body.
Yeah,
Okay.
atoms work in a certain way,
Yeah.
right? That's predetermined. But do we have free will
No.
as humans?
Okay, put the mic down. Now you ask me. Okay, you can. This is great. There's no predestination, but there is infinite potential as to how you will express. In other words, the Spirit of God cannot create automatons.